Alright, I guess this is my new video blog, or recording at this point. It is 9/13/2015, and it's 9:04 in the evening. So, what's been going on in my life? My family knows. They know that I'm trans, and unfortunately, it's not going as well as I thought it would be, or it's hard to explain it, because I mean, I knew from the beginning of this that I was going to lose people, and yeah. My father knows. He found out through my uncle, and I guess my uncle's wife. My father doesn't approve. He says he loves me, but he doesn't love me unconditionally. And that's the problem. You need to accept who I am, because I spent years of my life being someone I wasn't, trying to live a lie, and a person can't live like that. It'll destroy you. I mean, as sure as jumping off a cliff or throwing yourself off a bridge. Living a lie, living with a mask on your face every single day, it will destroy you. And you can't live that way. My life, I have to live on my own terms now. I remember when I separated from my ex, my son's birth mother, that I didn't know what I was going to do. But I know that I went through this journey, because like right after it, I spent like 3 days where I had denied myself food and only had water and slept a lot. And in that time, I had an epiphany. I realized at that time that I needed to make amends. I needed to go to everyone that I had ever wronged in my life, and I needed to clear the slate. I needed to make things right. At the time, I didn't know why. I didn't understand that there was a journey coming, that I didn't understand it. I was at the crossroads. It's this crossroads where you can go down one path or the other. One path, you know, is going to lead eventually to your end. And the other path, you don't know what is down it. All you know is that the other path is required. You know that if you don't follow it, you'll regret it for the rest of your days. And that's the way it was. So, when I moved up to Toledo to be with my son, a lot was going on. I had found out that my son wasn't going to school, but I couldn't prove it, so I moved up there. And my ex at the time was making things very difficult, to the point that I had a nervous breakdown at the place I was working. And the manager looked at me and she was just like, go and deal with your living situation, because that's actually what all the stress was about. Was I had made arrangements with my ex to find me an apartment up there, and she was not living up to her end of things. And I know it's stupid to depend on someone else. I should have depended on myself, but I didn't. I was at that point where I still trusted her. I still loved her. And then eventually it became too much. And that's when I broke down and I called my parents and I asked for help. And once I got the help, once my father came up and he spent about a month with me at a hotel. And I mean, I was stressed, but I wasn't as stressed. It's hard to explain it. But I was getting to see my son, and I mean, I was fighting with my ex, but it wasn't that bad. But I could feel that I was on a new path, and something was starting that was going to change my life. And what it was, I realized that I had a strong feminine side, that side of me had been there all along, but I had buried it. When I was young, my father caught me playing dress up with some of my mother's clothes, and he started screaming at me, calling me a faggot, and he terrorized me. And because of what he did when I was a child, it forced me to put all of those things into a room and to box up a massive part of my personality. And the thing was, I didn't know that I was imprisoning the greater half of me. And I tried to live as this 10%, as I call it. I was living off this 10% that was basically masculine, but it wasn't even masculine. It was the expectations of my family, of my father, trying to live up to what he wanted. So I spent years not being myself and wondering why all of my relationships would always fall apart, wondering why I would have these breakdowns, why I was suicidal. And I didn't realize until 25 years later that it was all about me not being true to myself. I wasn't being who I am. And I've always been a woman. I mean, from the day I was born. It's always been that way. I mean, it's the way I see it, and this is the way a lot of trans people, I guess, see it, is when we're born, we come, our brain, our personality, our gender, basically comes hardwired into your body, and sometimes the wiring is wrong. Sometimes a woman is born with a man's body, and the wiring on the inside is all female, but the shell is not. And it's the same way for trans men who were born women, physically women, but their brains were masculine. What I didn't know when I moved to Toledo was that this journey I was going to be taking was about self-discovery. It was about finding out who I truly was. And I mean, because I had cross-dressed over the years, and I would always feel guilty about it, feeling like there's something wrong with me. And the problem, it wasn't with me per se. It was me trying to live up to a standard which I was never meant to live up to. I was never meant to be the whole male thing. And me trying it destroyed my relationships. Made life so difficult around people that I was around that they didn't know what to do with me. I was the drama queen. I was the person that people were like, oh, that person. Do they really need to come? That type of thing. And so when I moved up to Toledo, I finally, after I'd had so much from my ex, I just said, I need to find out where this path goes. I need to make certain that this is not a fetish. And and what is right for me. Am I a cross-dresser? Am I trans? I didn't know at the time. So I spent 8 months from the time I moved up there living as a female. I needed to know. I needed to make certain that sex wasn't the only reason, that I wasn't getting off on it. And the one thing I realized when I first dressed in my own apartment for the first time, when I put on female clothing, was I noticed that this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. It was, I mean, it's hard to explain it, but it was lifted off of my shoulders, but I didn't feel turned on. I didn't feel like I wanted to go out and fuck someone or whatever. I just felt normal. It felt normal. It felt no different, other than the weight being lifted off of me. So I moved forward, and I made mistakes. And that's what led up to the day that I was raped. It was violent, it was brutal, and I still live with the scars. I have triggers that affect me every day. People can't come up behind me and touch me on the back. Men can't hug me without me trembling or wanting to escape. You make mistakes, and what it comes down to is you have to find out who you are. So I think, in a way, my assault, what it did was it cleansed me of this thing that's out there called male privilege. And there are a lot of trans women out there that cling to it, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why, because it's not the way it's supposed to be. You can't have it both ways. It's either one way or the other, not both. So when I moved forward with my transition, I moved forward, and I realized as time went by that I was more comfortable with myself. It took me time, and thanks to my friend Candace, I was able to move forward, and I was able to find myself, and I needed to find myself, and it took 8 long months. It took my ex finding out that I was trans. It took my son finding out that I was trans. It took me exploring who I really was to realize that Bree has always been me. The name has always been there. I mean, even when I had been cross-dressing, that name always came back to me. And the thing was I realize now that I wasn't really cross-dressing. I was starting my transition and then stopping, and then starting and then stopping. And the whole reason why I kept on stopping was I was afraid of how people would perceive me. I was afraid of what I would lose. I was afraid of hurting my family. And in the end, I hurt myself. Now my family knows. I've been living as a female for 5 years now, and I feel better about myself. My father is still very much embarrassed by me. My uncle told my grandmother about me being trans. I don't know exactly what's going on there. All I know is that she said she didn't want to know anything more about it. And, I mean, what it comes down to is I'm trying to be myself. So where am I? Where am I in my life? At this point, I am within about 2 months of my name change. And that's something I have to look forward to. Once I get my name changed, I can get a lot of other things done. We're working to get me on disability because of all my physical problems. I can't get around like a normal woman. My back and my legs, the sciatica is so bad in my legs that I can barely sit for long periods of time. And walking is more difficult now. I can't keep up with people. When I try to keep up with my son Alex, it's hard. But I'm finally me. No matter what others think. No matter what they say, I'm living as me. I'm Bree. I'm Brianna. And that's who I am. It's who I will always be. And I will live my life as a proud trans woman. And I will do like I've always said. I will stand up for other trans women, and I will be your big sister whenever you need me, and try to help you whenever I can, because that's the way I am. Candace helped me, and it's my duty to help you. So, if you need something, simply contact me. You can reach me at Bree Orlock Designs. I'll put my email address in the description block. If you have questions, if you have comments, just send them my way. I'm more than willing to answer you. If you're trans, I want you to know that it gets better. Life eventually does get better. You just have to stick it out. Stay the course. Don't let others tell you what you're doing is wrong. Because you know what's right for you, not them. Make certain that you're being authentic. Don't be someone other than yourself. Because in the end, you have to sleep with yourself at night. You're the one who wakes up with yourself in the morning, and you have to live with yourself. They don't. They can choose not to be around you. And if they choose not to be around you, then so be it. Let them not be around you. Let them choose their path while you choose yours. You will not be lonely for long. Whether you believe this or not, there are plenty of us out there, and we love you. We love you because you are our future. Being trans isn't easy. The dysphoria is crippling. Looking into the mirror and wanting to mutilate your own body because you see things that don't belong. I know it. I feel it. You have these fantasies where you're shaving and you just say, well, if I were to just slip. Well, you can't do that, because if you want your confirmation surgeries, you have to be whole. You have to show that you are stable. And I just want you to know that I'm here for you. I always will be. And know that you are loved. No matter what anyone says, I love all of you. Alright, this is Bree Orlock signing off. I don't know which video blog this is, but it's going to be long. And I hope you enjoyed this slideshow. Good night.